Okay, welcome to this brief session on finding multimedia content in LUCOM Library resources. I'm Rob Morset. I'm one of the librarians here in the medical library, and I just want to give you a brief tour of where you can find some of this multimedia content that's available in several of the resources that you have access to through the library. A bunch of these resources are going to include basic science and clinical multimedia. Mostly what we're going to look at is Clinical Key, Access Medicine, Avid, which includes other things besides medical multimedia content, but there's a lot of it in there that we could use. And also in our LWW resource, which is a solid mix of basic science and clinical content. The cool thing about the LWW resource is that there's actually multimedia content for OMM in that resource. So that's one we really want to look at. So I'm going to go ahead and share my browser window. And we'll get started. Okay, so starting off in Clinical Key, and again, in case you aren't aware of this, if you go to the medical library webpage, you'll find links to all of these databases underneath databases on the dropdown here. So in Clinical Key, there's a couple different ways you can find content. You can click on this little ellipses and click on multimedia to browse the content that's available. And once you have this display, you can actually use these facets over here to narrow down within specialties. You can see here allergy and immunology, anatomy resources, anesthesiology. We can also search within the multimedia content type in Clinical Key. So if you just click on this drop down next to the search box underneath all types, you'll just select multimedia. Just as an example, I'll try ACL Repair. And this will return all the multimedia content available in Clinical Key that has to do with that particular procedure. There's videos of the procedure, different lectures that have to do with the procedure. But let's see if I can find one to play for you. So you can see how these kind of look like. Okay, so that's sort of what's available, some of what's available in Clinical Key. The next resource I wanted to show you was Access Medicine. And there's a bunch of multimedia content in here. Some of this is going to be more basic sciences, but there's also clinical content in here as well. It's organized a little bit differently. There's a drop down up here underneath where it says Access Medicine for multimedia. And we can click on that drop down and we can actually grab multimedia for physical exam, procedural videos. There is some human anatomy modules, so some more basic sciences, but there's some that pull directly from Harrison's. So this just kind of gives you an idea. And if I were to pull up, say, physical exam, I can find different categories: cardiology, dermatology, emergency medicine, and so on. So let's see if we can find neurology, physical exam. So you kind of get an idea of what's available in here. So these might be useful for your standardized patient encounters or PCM. Let's just kind of give you an idea of what's there. There's some more content in Access Medicine that's not necessarily, I don't know if I call it multimedia. They're animations, they're pathophysiology animations, things like that. That's going to be available on this resource too. This Avid resource, we actually have several resources from Avid. We subscribe to journals at Avid and books at Avid, but they also have a large library of multimedia content. And again, this link is just down here under databases for Avid. And you'll see search, journals, books, and multimedia. If we select the multimedia category, you'll see there's a search box that we can search for a particular procedure or video that we're looking for. We can also, you'll see there's lots of maybe some content in here that's not necessarily going to be, some of it has to do with nursing, there's a lot here: oncology, obstetrics and gynecology, nutrition and dietetics, things that might be useful for your studies. And so, for example, here's this sling swing transposition. You'll kind of get a sense of what these are like. And what's kind of cool about this resource is there's actually a link provided here that lets you download the video if you wanted to save it to your device for any reason. And you can also search in here. The last resource I wanted to show you is what's available in our LWW collection. You might be familiar with this because a lot of your required textbooks, including your osteopathic medicine textbooks, are available down here. But across the top next to medical education, you'll see text and then video and audio. If you click on video and audio, it actually gives you, there are really two main groupings of multimedia content. They're anatomy, which is kind of self-explanatory, what's here, lateral skull, posterior skull, and all these different anatomy videos. But the thing that's particularly cool about this resource is there's multimedia content just for osteopathic medicine. So if I were anterior shoulder or OMM, this is from an atlas of osteopathic techniques. So this is pulling from the resources that are available within the LWW collection. So that's kind of so you get an idea of what the anatomy looks like. And get a sense of what to expect from these resources. So that's just a brief overview of some of the resources, some of the multimedia content that you have access to through our resources. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. I'm going to go ahead and share this PowerPoint again, just in case. Let's see here. Make sure you have our email address and phone number. And that's not it. Here we go. So if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. This is the number to my office. You can reach all of us, whether it's Diane Garber or Kim Sandage or myself, through this LUCOM Library at liberty.edu. That emails all three of us if you're not sure who to ask. And this is the phone number to the main library, to the front desk. So if you have any questions, please let us know. We're happy to help however we can. Thanks, guys.